These are 10 Family Guy moments that will make you cry, starting with the time Joe actually walked to prove his love for Bonnie when she tried to have an affair. So Lois and Bonnie are vacationing together in Paris, but it sounds like Bonnie isn't here to do all the normal touristy things, like visiting the Louvre or pretending that frog legs are a delicacy.
Lois, I came here to have an affair.
An affair?
An affair. And she's down to do it with anyone. That doesn't bode well for Lois, because I only saw one bed in that hotel room.
I just can't believe you'd throw away all those years with Joe just to have some silly fling.
But Bonnie states that her relationship with Joe has been crumbling for a while. I'm sure cheating on your husband will be the thing that brings the spark back. What could possibly go wrong?
Would you like to sample a warm French baguette?
Oh my.
But Lois pulls her away before she can get it on with that walking stereotype.
Joe's the man you gave your life to. And besides, you have a little girl.
I'm glad Lois remembered Susie, because I sure forgot about her given she's been in a grand total of 2 episodes since her birth. So Bonnie agrees to stop searching for an affair, but I know better than to trust that little raspy liar. And that becomes more than apparent when Lois gets back from shopping.
Didn't you see I tied a tampon to the doorknob?
No? What does that mean?
I'd guess it either means it's her time of the month or it's just free to take. You'll never know when you'll need one, like if you need to clean up a very tiny puddle.
Don't make a big deal about it. I just needed a change from Joe.
Bonjour.
I guess if we're finding the silver lining, it's at least refreshing to see that they didn't have her cheat on someone who isn't in a wheelchair, but a cheater's still a cheater. Bonnie's been enjoying her time with French Joe, who pops a pretty big question for someone she just met.
Francois has asked me to stay here in Paris with him.
And leave Joe at home with the baby you carried for 7 seasons? Damn, just how good is this guy? So Lois obviously disapproves of what she's doing.
I invited you on this trip to hang out while I have sex with strangers, and this is how you repay me?
So Bonnie makes the decision to stay in Paris, but Lois is prepared for this and calls in a special guest. Who's behind door number 1?
Joe, what are you doing here?
How could Lois be so unfaithful to her unfaithful friend?
I'm sorry that I've been neglecting you lately, but I love you, and I need you.
You know, I think the show does a good job at highlighting the struggles people like Joe go through, that adding other struggles like this on top of everything feels like dogpiling. He pours his heart out to Bonnie, pleading with her to think of their baby, but she still isn't sure. On second thought, maybe just leave her here, Joe. You deserve better.
He may be your husband, but I would do anything for you.
Well, there's one thing he can't do.
Through the power of love, God, or maybe even the devil, Joe musters up all his energy and oh my God, he's standing.
Joe, I don't believe it. You're walking.
I am!
The two passionately kiss, finding the strength to continue their relationship. And all it took was an unexplainable miracle to make it happen. You really can't bet against the power of love. Someone should tell the world's top scientists that.
Let's go home, Joe.
Well, that might be hard to explain in the bedroom, but I'm sure Quagmire won't mind that part. I don't know about you, but a couple finding the love they once had for each other does bring a tear to my eye. One single, solitary tear. And more tears are shed when Brian connects with a son he didn't know he had. And yes, this is the one he later abandons. So after Brian bombs hard with a woman, he starts to reminisce on his past relationships.
Tracy Flanagan. She was the greatest girl I ever met, and I blew it.
So hit her up. I'm sure she's missing what a charming, nice, not self-centered person you are. Ugh, just saying that gave me acid reflux. So Brian finds her house, and let's just say the years have not been kind to Tracy.
Tracy Flanagan?
Oh my God, Brian Griffin, is that you?
The years weren't just unkind, they were her worst enemy.
Wow, you sure look different than the last time I saw you.
Yeah, haircut.
Maybe a few other things too, but yeah, definitely the haircut. But if you think that's a surprise, Tracy has one more for you.
Brian, this is Dylan. He's your son.
No denying that, he's the spitting image of Brian, right down to Brian's iconic red hair and human features. But luckily, Stewie's asking the important questions.
How can you possibly have a 13-year-old son when you yourself are only 7?
Well, those are dog years.
Well, there you go. Let's move along and not think about that anymore. Brian wants nothing to do with the kid, but Lois thinks he should try to be in his son's life.
Raising a child is a very rewarding experience.
What about raising a future mainstay at the county jail? Because that's probably where Dylan's heading. But it looks like Brian may not have a choice.
My mom wanted me to give you this.
To Brian from Tracy. He's your problem now.
Well, he seems just unstable enough to fit into the family nicely.
I hate you all! I didn't ask to be born! If I had a gun, I would kill you all!
Oh boy, the FBI is gonna love monitoring him. So Brian decides to lay some tough love down on Dylan.
I don't care that I'm your father, and you don't care that you're my son. We don't have anything in common.
Well, I wouldn't say anything.
My what? Your
Ah yes, nothing brings a father and son together like a little Bermuda grass.
I'm sorry I wasn't around when you were growing up.
Don't. Just don't.
And here come the Mary Jane-induced waterworks.
It wasn't my fault!
You weren't there for me!
Damn it, don't you think I wanted to be?
I know this scene's kind of played for laughs, but this is actually pretty touching. It's a pretty accurate portrayal of a father-son dynamic, which features the type of heart-to-heart that I'm sure a lot of people wish they could have with their dad.
I know I wasn't there for you, man. For all those years, but that's gonna change.
And Dylan does change quite a bit, looking more like an actual teenager rather than an extra from West Side Story.
I plan on being a real father to Dylan, and together, we are gonna turn his life around.
But of course, Brian takes this opportunity to become a high and mighty D-bag about the whole thing.
Until you have a child, you do not understand. Okay?
I think we might have pinpointed the exact moment Quagmire started hating Brian. Just look at the fire in his eyes. So Peter brings Tracy over to take Dylan back.
Now Dylan can go back with his mom, and you can stop acting like such a jack.
And to Brian's surprise, Dylan thinks he should go with her too.
I finally have a chance to transform my mom's life in the same way you transformed mine.
Hard to argue with that, Brian. It's time for your baby bird to leave the nest.
I'm gonna miss that boy.
Seeing Brian so sad but so proud is such a nice moment. But don't worry, you can still see him in later episodes since he appears in, only one episode other than this? Gotta say, Brian, future you is making this whole thing a whole lot less sad. But what is sad is Peter coming to terms with his childhood abuse at the hands of his older sister. So it's Thanksgiving and the family gets a visit from Peter's sister Karen, who next to nobody knew existed. Probably for good reason.
Hey, Karen. Welcome to our...
Bring it in, PP!
Huh, so that's where Peter got that from. Everyone loves that Peter isn't the biggest, rudest griffin in the house anymore, except for Peter.
Oh, I'll punch him in the nuts!
Peter admits to Lois that Karen terrorized him their whole childhood, but she thinks he's making a big deal out of nothing. I don't know, did you hear the impact of that punch? Here it is again in case you missed it. I think I'll just start using that clip now every time Peter steps out of line.
Can't you just go out there and pretend to have a good time?
That might be hard to do when Karen took away the sacred Thanksgiving duty every man of the house must complete.
Okay, let's just carve the turkey.
Oh, and Karen already carved it.
She did? But that's my thing.
Geez, she might as well have cut off his chin while she's at it. Get it? Because his chin looks like... yeah, you get it. And Peter's manhood continues to get tested during a family-friendly game of football. Oh yeah, did I also forget to mention that Karen's a professional wrestler? It might not be a real sport, but Peter's eyes popping out of his head certainly makes it seem real.
You're a jerk, Karen!
What the hell was that?
Apparently Peter had a stutter as a kid, which would also make him pee his pants. Not sure how those two are connected, but look at the big man baby.
Oh.
Okay, now it's gotten weird. But Meg shows some sympathy for him. Turns out childhood trauma is something she knows a thing or two about.
And trust me, I know more about getting bullied than anyone.
You do? How?
Cue the montage. Ah, so the reason Peter treats Meg like crap is because Karen treated him like crap. Thanksgiving really is the holiday for bringing out generational trauma. So Meg suggests he stand up to his sister.
And maybe if you finally do, she'll stop terrorizing you and you won't have to take it out on me for the rest of my life.
I wouldn't be too sure, Meg. It'll be pretty hard for him to give up his favorite hobby. So apparently the place to settle family disputes is in the wrestling ring.
You ain't no champ. Not till you go through me!
Disguised as wrestler Maxie Patty, a great name by the way, Peter threatens to lay the smackdown on his sister. As an avid enjoyer of the art of pro wrestling, this looks like it's going to be what they call a squash match.
Ow! Damn it, Karen!
Karen? Peter, is that you?
Shh, call him by his wrestling name. This is like Lucha Libre, where if you call a luchador their real name, they're legally allowed to kill you. That could be a lie, but I'm going to choose to believe it. Anyway, Karen's about to kill Peter, but he's saved by a familiar-looking wrestler.
Say hello to Teen La Quifa!
Somehow that's the grossest name I've heard yet. Well done.
They couldn't stand by and watch you get hurt.
Wow. Thanks, Meg.
Peter admits that his parents never stood up for him, and the little wheels in his head spin enough to make him realize he's done the same to her.
I guess I was taking out all the pain I felt on you.
I understand. Better than anybody.
This is one of those rare, touching moments Peter and Meg have shared. Peter not only confronts his childhood trauma, but realizes the trickle-down effect it's had on Meg. Sure, he pretty much forgets this lesson, but for a brief moment in time, we can all believe Peter has the potential to be a better father. But Joe forgot all about being a father when he tried to check out early in life, twice. But before he does that, our story starts with Peter finding a missing boy and being hailed as a hero.
Wow. 20 years on the force and no one's ever clapped for me.
Yeah, being a cop can be a thankless job, but it's offset by you being able to run red lights and plant some of that devil's lettuce on people who didn't talk in the right tone to you.
Fact is, when I saved that boy, I wasn't thinking. I don't think. I just do.
Truer, more obvious words could not have been spoken, but Joe decides to take that lifestyle to heart to change his life around.
Hey, Chief, it's Swanson. I quit.
Heck yeah, new Joe, new rules. And new Joe means no old bag.
You and I are done too.
What?
I'm leaving you. Woo! New Joe!
You know what? Props to Joe for being the heartbreaker for a change. And Joe would like to christen his new identity with a big move.
What would you guys think of a road trip?
All right, I'm in.
I'd pass. Hours upon hours in the same small vehicle with nothing to do? This is why planes were invented. So the gang makes it to Niagara Falls, where Canadians and New Yorkers come to yell at one another across country lines.
Didn't I tell you guys it's the most magnificent place in the world, and the greatest place to end it all?
Oh, I guess he didn't tell them this is going to be his last trip ever. Wish he would've. This would've been a great trip for matching t-shirts.
Damn it!
Joe? Joe, you're alive!
Yeah, he was a little short on that leap. Next time, really put your legs into... Oh, right, forgot. So Joe is claw machined back up, and I gotta say, he's really put a damper on the rest of this trip.
Joe, what the hell is wrong with you? Why would you try to kill yourself?
What do you think? I'm worthless.
It turns out that Joe seeing Peter be hailed as a hero reminded him of all the things he couldn't do.
I'm a cop who can't save anyone. I'm a husband in a legless marriage. My whole life is a joke.
Not gonna lie, that's pretty depressing. Joe's a nice guy who's done a lot of good, so it sucks he has to feel that way. Maybe his good pals can find a reason for him to live.
You have a handsome face.
Well, he's got a good chin. I don't know about handsome.
See, doesn't that kind of encouragement just fill you with life and the will to live?
Where's Joe?
Joe, wait!
You know, I'd hate to say he's bad at everything, but maybe this big move isn't for him. So the guys take him on a cable car to try to cheer him up, and it actually seems to kind of work.
Hey, you mind opening that door? Get a little breeze in here?
And like a good friend, Peter does, and oh, there he goes trying to jump again.
Leader, no!
But the sudden shift makes the cable car's wire snap, leaving Peter, Cleveland, and Quagmire dangling outside.
Hang on, guys!
But Joe's too late and the guys fall into the river. It's a good thing there's nothing they can fall off of, like a falls of some sort. Luckily for them, Joe makes it down to the water and manages to catch them.
Guys, grab onto my legs!
Got it!
Joe finally got to be the hero, and this near-death experience has given him the new lease on life he needed. Though it's mostly played out as a joke, Joe's drive to end it all is pretty disheartening to watch. But at least we can be glad that he's terrible at doing it, which gives us a happy ending. But a bittersweet ending can't be avoided when Quagmire decides to give up his only daughter and comes to regret it. So Quagmire opens his door to find a baby girl in a basket on his doorstep. Man, these subscription services are just getting weirder and weirder.
Glenn, this is your child. Next time, wear a condom, jerk.
Honestly, how is this the first time something like this has happened to him? He's got to be the modern-day Genghis Khan with how much he spread his giggity across the world. But who's to say if this really is his kid anyway?
Giggity?
Oh, I say that.
Well, that's legally binding proof.
Well, what am I supposed to do? I don't want a baby. Look, somebody's got to take this kid off my hands. I can't be a father.
I agree with him, mostly because the foster system sounds way better than the nightmares that go on in Quagmire's house. But it looks like he's stuck with her.
Hey, what's going on?
Well, if she's gonna be sticking around, she's gonna need a name.
I named her Anna Lee, but I'm probably just gonna call her Annal for short. That's funny. Thank you.
That's great, just have a built-in reason to have your kid get bullied later in life. It's like naming your kid Michael Hawk, you just know everyone's gonna call him Mike. I'll give you a second to work that one out. But Quagmire isn't gonna let this little hiccup get in the way of his late-night degeneracy.
So, how long you been in beauty school?
2 months.
Well, tonight we're doing facials.
But Anna Lee just has to ruin the mood with her crying. She's making a lot of noise for someone not paying rent.
Oh, no wonder. You dropped your pacifier.
Please tell me that's a new one and not something Quagmire just had at his house already.
Damn kids kept me up every night for 2 weeks. Now where were we? Giggity, giggity.
Yeah, for this young lady's sake, this is probably for the best.
I've never had sex before, and I probably wouldn't have been much good at it.
Ah!
Oh yeah, she definitely avoided a year of therapy there.
That's it. That kid is out of here.
So Quagmire asks if Peter and Lois would adopt her, but he instead gives them some good, friendly suggestions.
Have you considered abortion?
Peter, I think it's too late for that.
So if Peter won't adopt her and Quagmire won't leave her in a trash can somewhere, it looks like there's only one other option. You know, other than sucking it up and becoming a good father.
Once you give this child up to the adoption agency, you can no longer abort it.
Thank you for the clarification, Peter.
Her name's Anna Lee.
Oh, beautiful name. Let me take her from you.
But Quagmire actually shows some hesitation. In a brief, fleeting moment, Quagmire seems to actually believe he could be the dad she deserves. But we all know that's not gonna happen.
She'll go to a good home, right?
Oh, yes.
To cheer him up, the guys take Quagmire to a strip club. And for some reason, half-naked women just can't stop reminding him of his infant daughter. You got issues, man.
That stripper has a rash on her ass, just like Anna Lee used to get.
Yeah.
Okay, so the mental hoops he has to jump through are questionable, but he does seem to show true regret over what he's done.
I abandoned my daughter. Why did I give away my only daughter?
And now he's crying in the strip club. Don't let the dancers see you like this, Glenn. Protect the minuscule amount of pride you have left. So Quagmire sneaks over to Annalee's foster home, and though he wants to get her back, he sees she's quite happy with her new, normal family.
Almost like she belongs there. They look like a real family.
Not a hidden wall bed or tiger print thong in sight. Yeah, you made the right choice, Quagmire. Seeing Quagmire care about his child so much is quite touching. I just hope they don't run into each other in 18 years. And another weird parent-child relationship that had me tearing up involves Brian and his mom, who he tries to find after being torn away from her as a puppy. So we start with a little flashback and shut up, is that puppy Brian? He's so cute! And so well-spoken for his age.
Hey, does anyone here have thumbs?
Well, you do, Brian. After all, you were drawn with them. No ring finger though, so don't think about marriage. But before Brian knows it, he's being hauled away from his mom for good.
Mom, do something. Mom, help, Mom!
Dang, we really are traumatizing puppies on the daily, aren't we? So it turns out Brian's in therapy to get to the root of his problems. What's the diagnosis, Doc?
You have abandonment issues. You need to confront your mother and deal with this.
Not entirely buying it, Brian decides to volunteer to pick up Stewie in Palm Springs to clear his mind. And probably ruin his liver on some hotel bar liquor. And he does exactly that, practically abandoning Stewie at the airport.
I'm not drunk, alright? I just have a speech impediment.
That's what I tell cops too. Works at least 1 out of every 10 times, and the other 9 I don't remember. But when they return to their gate, Rupert has lost the bags. Typical Rupert move, man.
Our tickets were in the bags.
Then I guess you better start that 1,000+ mile walk back home. So the two spend a sensual night in a motel, but have to make a break for it when their credit cards declined.
We have to get the hell out of here!
Motel manager, open up!
Thankfully, every motel bathroom has a window in it for such a situation.
We need some wheels.
So the duo goes from fraud to Grand Theft Auto, hitting the road while wanting to hit each other.
You left out the part where I made you smash your head on the windshield.
I don't recall.
Ditching the car, the two hitch a ride in the back of a truck, ending up in a very familiar place for Brian.
Don't you see? Fate's brought me back here for a reason. I have to find my mother and make peace with her.
Yeah, that truck was already heading that way. Good thing you hopped off of it. Well, get along, little doggy.
I say, walk slower, dog.
So somehow they're able to find the exact farm Brian was born on, and luckily that old farmer is still alive.
Which one were you again?
I was the one who could talk.
Brian, come on in.
So is Brian just a mutant or something? What kind of water do they got down there in Texas? Anyway, Brian wants to see his mother, but she apparently passed the year prior. Epiphanies never come when you need them to, do they?
Well, we love Biscuit so much, we wanted to keep her with us always. So we had her stuffed.
And not the good kind of stuffed either. I'll let you decide which is the good kind on your own.
You deserve better than this, Mom.
So Brian decides to lug the corpse of his dead mom with him to a park to give her a proper burial. Proper is being generous, it's just a hole in a field somewhere.
She was sturdy, all 4 legs the same length. Thanks, that's enough.
So in a bittersweet ending, Brian makes peace with his past by effectively burying it. He never got to say all the things he wanted to say to his mother, and yet he still managed to deal with his abandonment issues on a cross-country journey with his best pal. I hope we all get an experience like that. Maybe without the whole seeing your mother taxidermied thing. But I wish we all had a chance to save our lost loved ones, which Stewie manages to do by going back in time to save Brian from dying. So 2 episodes prior, Brian was killed off seemingly for good after being hit by a car.
I love you all.
And yeah, that was sad and all, but we've talked about this episode plenty on this channel, so let's focus on some happier tears from the episode where Brian returns. So it's the first Christmas since Brian's passing, and despite all the cheer and whatnot, Stewie just can't find the holiday spirit.
What's wrong with you, Stews? You're next up to see the big guy himself, and you look like a piece of spaghetti on the street.
Oh yeah, and Vinny's here gifting us with some classic Italian knowledge. Don't get too used to him.
So, what do you want for Christmas?
But Stewie realizes there's only one thing that's been on his mind this holiday.
You know what I want for Christmas? I want my friend back.
Well, better get to practicing necromancy, Santa.
I don't care about anything except Brian. I want Brian!
So Vinny tries to cheer Stewie up by acting like Brian. Gotta say, that's a spot-on impression.
Hey, whose leg do you gotta gagoosh to get an amaretto di Serrano around here?
It's like looking in a time machine. Too bad Stewie had to go and destroy that.
I appreciate all this, Vinny, but there's only one Brian, and it's tough for me that he's gone.
So Vinny resorts to the classic parent trump card, buying a kid's love at the toy store.
Wait a minute, who is that?
That kid's stealing Stewie's classic winter fit. Actually, it's not just any kid.
That boy is me! Of course! It's me from the past!
So months ago, he used the time machine to buy a toy that wouldn't come out till Christmas. Finally, a realistic use of a baby's time machine.
The time machine return pad is in the backpack that other Stewie is wearing. I must get my hands on it, Vinny.
Luckily, Vinny's been hanging around Stewie enough to know how to distract him.
You ever do any modeling?
Well, not professionally, but I have thought about it.
Nothing to see here, folks. Just an adult dog soliciting a child to do some modeling. Kinda surprised that Stewie wanted to steal the return pad. I feel like saving Brian's life is something any past Stewie would probably agree to.
Now all I've got to do is set the coordinates to the moment before Brian got killed and I can save him!
But changing the past like that comes with a price. If Stewie saves Brian, then Stewie and Vinny will have never met.
Hey, I'm man's best friend, not some stupid baby's best friend, right?
And on that aggressively masculine note, Stewie and Vinny say goodbye. So Stewie returns to the magical time of a few seconds before Brian's killed.
Brian, look out!
Stewie explains the situation, and Brian is eternally grateful, as most families would have just gotten another dog. Yeah, who would ever think of doing that?
Stewie, what's happening to you?
I think my timeline is being erased.
Unrelated, but for some reason I feel like fading from existence would feel so cool. All your troubles just float away. It'd be like peeing yourself without any of the mess. That's a good analogy, right?
Hey, who are you talking to out here?
A pretty awesome guy.
So Stewie himself may never know it, but he gave Brian the greatest gift of all, and this is something Brian will always appreciate. This episode really showed the deep love Stewie and Brian have for one another, and the fact that Brian cannot be replaced. Thanks for those 3 episodes, Vinny. We'll remember you fondly for a few minutes and then never again. But despite their love for one another, Brian's caused Stewie pain too, like when he killed Stewie's only other best friend, Rupert. So Stewie has a whole marathon of Fast and the Furious movies planned out, but Brian's excited about other aspects of their night.
Alright, let's get high.
Be honest, Brian, you'd be doing that regardless of whether or not there was a movie marathon. He seems like the guy that needs to light up before going to the mailbox.
By the way, don't tell Rupert about Paul Walker being D-E-A-D.
It's a good thing Rupert's illiterate and can't spell. I don't know what Stewie sees in him either. Rupert apparently also has a ton of questions because he and Stewie talk through the whole movie.
Are you gonna keep talking like this during the whole thing? What? I'm answering Rupert's questions.
So Brian decides to dip and head to the bar. So he's found his reasons to smoke and drink today, and it's only around 11 a.m.
Yeah, you're right. I bet he is on his period. Whatever that means.
Stewie taps out later in the night and leaves Rupert to watch the rest on his own, but when he returns in the morning, he finds Brian passed out on the couch.
Oh boy, you're hungover. How are you going to do nothing today?
But it looks like Brian also had a tasty late-night snack. Nothing hits better than the body of your friend's best friend.
No! Rupert! Rupert!
So Stewie wakes Brian up with a friendly beating to the face, and Brian admits it was an accident and offers to even the score.
How about you kill something I love? How about I do that?
Whoa, okay, that's fine. That's fair.
I mean, what could Stewie kill of Brian's anyway? Shooting a tennis ball really doesn't have the same oomph. He'll just have to hurt him in other ways.
Twitter, unfollow. Instagram, unfollow. Snapchat, unfollow.
Unfollow, the most feared words of any millennial, or any person as self-centered as Brian. So Stewie plans to head to Vermont to scatter Rupert's ashes, and Brian tries to tag along.
I don't care, I'm coming with you.
This poses kind of an interesting question. If you accidentally kill someone, do you go to their funeral? Do you dare look their friends and family in the eye? Is this too heavy of a question for a silly Family Guy video? Fire off in the comments. Anyway, when they reach the state park, Stewie tries to set out on his own, but Brian stays hot on his trail.
I swear to God, do not take one step further or I will hit you. That's it!
Well, he did warn him. The two punch around a bit, and it looks like Stewie won't be able to forgive Brian. So screw it, time to lay all the cards out on the table.
It wasn't an accident. I knew he wasn't a chew toy. I was sick of you talking to him all the time.
I guess this town wasn't big enough for two best friends, and Brian took it upon himself to make the decision for Stewie. Looks like that worked out well. As expected, Stewie tries to kill Brian and gets thrown off a cliff for his troubles.
I didn't want your help. Well, you need it, so it's happening.
Wow, I didn't know Brian was a Boy Scout. Too bad he can't fashion together an actual job. Boom! Suck it, you toy murderer!
You know, once we're done here, I'm never speaking to you again. Well, how the hell was I supposed to know it was going to upset you so much?
Yeah, who would have thought that Stewie would be mad about the death of the one thing he's been attached to the hip to for his entire life that he talks to and has a weird, confusing marriage to? A true mystery.
Why is Rupert the one baby thing you're hanging on to? Why are you so upset over a doll when I'm real and I'm still here?
According to Stewie, it was because Rupert was going to be here forever, even after Brian passed. And when they finally reach the top, Brian realizes just how much Rupert meant to Stewie.
You do it. What? You give the eulogy. I'm too upset, I can't.
Dang, imagine giving a speech at the funeral of a guy you killed. This must be what being in the mob's like.
We wouldn't change a single moment. Except the end. Sorry about that.
And so, Brian and Stewie share a beautiful moment of sadness, forgiveness, and understanding on top of the mountain. Stewie says goodbye to his best friend while realizing he still has a friend in Brian to rely on. And to make matters even sweeter, Brian finds a Rupert replacement.
Rupert! You've come back to me!
And of course, they had to play a sappy song during all this, so now there are teardrops on the keyboard. It's just a nice moment, okay? Another nice moment comes when Brian sees how hard the family takes it when they find out he's dead. So Brian's off to a dinner held in his honor by the Rhode Island Society for Special Literary Excellence.
You remember the book I wrote, Faster Than the Speed of Love? They love the book so much, they want to give me their most prestigious award.
Oh, you mean the book everyone hated, nobody bought, and is only 99 cents on Amazon? Is the dinner being hosted by the brain dead?
We're in that section right over there.
Hey, there he is! It's Brian Griffin!
Oh, now I feel bad. So when it says special literary excellence, yeah. Well, this celebration calls for some heavy drinking.
Lois was right. I'm not a writer. I'm a joke.
But as Brian responsibly drives himself home, he commits a teensy-weensy little bit of dog slaughter.
Oh my god!
Just has a few scratches on it. It'll be fine.
Okay, you're gonna be okay. You're gonna be okay. Oh my god!
Nothing a little glue and staples can't fix. I bet Brian's fan club back there has all the tools in their craft box. So Brian buries the body in hopes of keeping it a secret, but no secret is safe from Stewie.
Brian killed a dog! This is fantastic!
Just play it cool, Brian. Take a puff, calm your nerves, and no one will suspect a thing.
So, did you hear all that noise last night? I swear to God, it sounded like somebody had an accident and...
Nope, no accidents here, though Brian might have one when he looks in the paper.
Oh my god.
Hey, it doesn't specify they need the dog back alive. Grab your shovel and maybe make a few bucks. And after enough time, Stewie manages to bully the truth out of Brian.
I killed one of my own kind, Stewie. How would you feel if you killed a baby?
Sounds like a regular weekend for him, and I bet he sleeps like a baby.
You might feel better if you just confess to what you've done.
So that's exactly what Brian does, even inviting Joe over so he can cuff him.
I committed a murder. Then I buried the body and even went out of my way to cover up the evidence.
Man, you're not even gonna lead the police on a wild goose chase? You are the lamest murderer. Of course, everyone takes this seriously until Brian clarifies the victim was a dog.
What?
Brian, it's a dog. That's not a crime.
I'd say the way he went about hiding it could probably earn him a fine, but Brian quickly realizes how little his life is valued compared to a human's.
I could blow your brains out and they'd throw me a parade.
What?
I'm just screwing around, Brian. Nobody cares.
Hard to believe Peter grabbing an officer's gun is a heftier crime than Brian killing a dog, but that's just the crazy world we live in. So Brian's demoralized that the world doesn't seem to value his life.
I just never realized how little meaning my life had. Stewie, my life isn't worth anything.
I guess that warrants a naked cry in the bath, but you're not even gonna turn the water on? Now that's weird. But luckily, Stewie has a little idea.
There was a fire at Quahog Liquor last night. No people were killed, but the burned body of a dog was found inside.
And somehow this totally legit fire didn't burn up the dog's collar. Put that product on Shark Tank.
What the hell happened?
Brian's dead.
Oh man, somebody better inform Brian of that upstairs.
Hey, come here. Got something you'll want to see.
And so Brian finds the family heartbroken over his apparent death, and their reactions are genuine tearjerkers.
My best friend in the whole world. And he's gone.
Brian finally sees that his life does have meaning, even if it took another dog dying to realize it.
You burned down a liquor store and murdered a dog?
Well, a stray.
Thank you.
Even if Brian doesn't care about animal lives the way he says he does, this is still a heartwarming reminder that you always matter to someone even when you think you don't. And hey, this was good prep for when he actually dies later on. But there was a time when Brian was ready to die, willing to give up both of his kidneys to save Peter's life. So when Peter's exhausted from not getting any sleep, he's introduced to the wonderful world of Red Bull, which has him dancing his rapid little heart out in a Madonna music video.
Hey, what's up, party people? Ah, what the hell are these things? Curtains or something? Boring!
Honestly, even though Peter's tweaked out of his mind, I bet Red Bull ended up selling a ton of products after this aired. Even though this kinda led to Peter killing a bunch of people. Well, I guess those people are angels now. Red Bull really does give you wings. But when Lois gets rid of all of his Red Bull, Peter decides to make his own. Looks like he takes the Flaming Moe approach and just uses whatever he can find.
Kerosene is fuel, Brian. Red Bull is fuel. Kerosene is Red Bull.
Yep, the numbers add up.
I'm afraid all the toxic chemicals your husband ingested from his homemade energy drink have caused total kidney failure.
So with no kidney donors on standby, Peter will have to be on dialysis for the foreseeable future.
Is there any other way?
Yes, there is.
No.
Aw, but doctors never get to use their guns. All that medical schooling for nothing. But Peter gets annoyed with constant treatment, so he decides to just skip a day. But that has him looking like he's from a longer running, more award-winning show.
I feel great. Like I could go another 20 years or more.
Dope! Peter survives, but it's a close call. With no available kidneys at the moment, things aren't looking good.
Well, what about me?
In real life, that could never happen, but weirdly enough, pigs have the highest potential for human organ donation. Do with that info as you wish. After a quick test, Brian is confirmed to match, there's just one hang-up.
For the procedure to work, we would need to transplant 2.
But I only have 2.
Now, I'm no meteorologist, but I think you need at least 1 kidney to survive. So that means if they go through with it, Brian will die.
I'll do it. I'll give you my kidneys.
And Brian's okay with that. He believes Peter saved his life by adopting him and is willing to give up his life to save Peter's. Plus, Brian only has, a few years left? Not to say it's time for him to go, but he's lived a pretty full life in little time. So Brian decides to say his final goodbyes to the family.
Meg, you're so beautiful on the inside. But it's very important that you know your limitations.
Okay, don't let the door hit you on the way out, a-hole.
Can I hump your leg for 15 uninterrupted seconds?
I suppose so, Brian.
You know what? He's earned it. But Stewie tries to delay the inevitable by kidnapping Brian and making plans to live on the playground. In this economy, playground living's more for the upper middle class.
Come on, you can live without a dog, Stewie, but you can't live without a father.
Honestly, Brian has been more of a father figure for Stewie than Peter, but like we said, he only has maybe a few more years left anyhow.
I don't want to lose anybody. I don't want to lose anybody.
I know you're sad, but ew, clean yourself up, man. So the fateful day arrives and Dr. Hartman doesn't even have his shoes or gloves on. So unprofessional.
I found another donor for your husband.
You did? Oh!
Me.
Huh, I guess if you share the same voice actor, your kidneys must be compatible. Medicine's neat. Even though it didn't happen, this was still a heartfelt moment of Brian showing selflessness for a change. His willingness to give up his life for his best friend is truly touching, showing Brian really is man's best friend. As for Dr. Hartman, that guy just earned himself a seat at the holiday dinner table. And you can earn a seat at the Sweaty Clam table by liking and subscribing. Be sure to check out our other great videos while you're at it.